were you present at any of those sessions that Mitch and your dad had? Did you witness
Yes,
the
yes,
interviews?
I was. Yeah,
Tell
I
us
was.
more
I
about
mean,
that.
sure. Essentially, it was, for the two of them to talk. So I didn't necessarily sit in there for hours and hours, but I did sit in some of the time. And I mean, that is pretty much exactly as described in the book and in the play. Mitch would ask my father questions, and every week they had a different topic, and my father would give his ideas on those topics. So it's pretty much exactly as described in the book. And there's a couple of interesting tidbits to relate to your question. So the one time that I spent the most time with Mitch and talking to my father is the time that's alluded to in the play and talked about specifically in the book, which is the time that his wife Janine came and visited with Mitch. So Mitch, it wasn't just my father and Mitch alone. So since Janine was there, I felt like, I could also sit in. And not only did I sit in, but as described in the play, Janine, who is a singer, and as you guys probably know, my father loved music, um, and as exactly as described in the book, practically word for word, my father asked Janine to sing, and you could see Mitch going, "Yeah, everybody asks her, but she's not going to sing," and then she starts to sing. I'm actually going to get a little emotional in this one, and she sings "The Very Thought of You."
Oh,
And the kicker to the whole story is that when my father got ill, I decided, like, okay, he's not going to be around that much longer. And I was basically back from Japan quite a bit of the time. So I borrowed a video camera and I videoed my father for hours and hours, just set up the camera and let it run. So we actually have videotape of Janine singing The Very
oh,
Thought of You for my father.
oh, that's beautiful. Oh, um, I imagine that having music in the house all the time would have contributed to your love of music too. Um,
Absolutely, absolutely, yeah. And my father really enjoyed an incredibly wide range of music. He
yeah.
really loved classical music, but he also really loved folk and blues and rock and jazz and klezmer. I don't know if you guys know klezmer. Klezmer is a style of traditional Jewish folk music, not religious music, but folk music,
Mm,
and has a very distinctive sound, clearly Eastern European
mm.
influenced sound. And it's really nice. If you've never heard klezmer music, you can check it out. I'm sure there's 100,000 tunes online on YouTube or whatever.
That's
So yeah, he had
great.
a very very broad taste, and of course it influenced me and my love of music as well. Yeah, yeah.
Lovely. Um, the those, I suppose, those recordings, those excerpts, they're still surviving. I think you were telling me that Mitch has some of those recordings still,
Oh yeah, oh
and we
yeah,
can
oh
still
yeah.
catch it online, right?
Yeah, I mean, Mitch treasures those recordings, and he didn't actually do anything with them. I mean, of course, he wrote the book, which is this gigantic smash success, and he wrote the play, which was also a gigantic smash success. But the recordings per se hadn't really been heard by the general public. So about a year ago, he started a podcast, which you can also, there's also a Facebook page connected to it called Tuesday's People, where he had this idea of like, I'll play the recordings for people regarding one subject, and then we'll talk about the subject afterwards. So you can go there and you can hear my father's actual voice talking about something, and then after that, Mitch and his guests talk about the subject from the perspective of launch off from what my father said.
Oh,
So
great. So
yeah,
we
that's
can
online.
go and look at that online and hear it, and that's wonderful. And of course,
Tuesday's People. Yeah.
you've been on Tuesdays with people.
It's called Tuesday's People, just Tuesday's
Tuesdays
People,
people.
just Tuesday, or might even be singular. But anyway, maybe Tuesday
Tuesday
People,
people.
Tuesday People, Tuesday's People. Yeah, I did it, and my brother did it as well. And basically, it's similar to what we're talking about now. Mitch asked me a lot of questions about my memories and my childhood and all that sort of thing, because Mitch knew my father in these two very specific and rather limited time periods, for a few years as a university student, and then for maybe 2 months at the very end of his life, and nothing in between, nothing before and nothing in between. So he
Mm.
was very interested to hear, my thoughts and my feelings and my memories, and also my brothers.